Welcome to the Empowering the Hybrid Workforce podcast, where we explore the latest innovations, trends, and strategies that are shaping the world of work in this ever-evolving landscape. I'm your host, Andrew Hutchinson, Sales Director at Rizal, and together we'll dive into the challenges and opportunities organisations are facing, as well as the technologies that are driving the shift towards a more flexible and productive workforce. Join us throughout this series as we talk to experts, business leaders, and IT professionals to uncover the secrets behind thriving in the hybrid work environment. So grab a cup of coffee or tea and let's get started. Frontline workers are the backbone of your business. They're often the first point of contact with customers and have a significant impact on customer satisfaction and revenue, from customer service representatives to sales associates to field service technicians. Frontline workers play a critical role in delivering high quality service. They're generally the face of your brand, and it's important to recognise their contributions and to create a work environment that really does support their needs. Today, I've got my colleague Bjorn with me. Bjorn and I have worked closely for many years in Rizal as part of our sales and transformation director practice, supporting clients, understanding their strategy and where they can get the most value for money, but also where they can focus on employee experience and really enable their workers and their workforce. Today, we're going to talk to you about frontline workers.
Yeah, great to be here, and what an exciting topic, an interesting topic as well. Frontline workers, as you said, Andrew, are really the backbone of any organization, and I've got a few stats here to kick us off. So if you just look at this one, 87% say the organization will be more successful when frontline workers are empowered to make important decisions in the moment. That's where people work, at the front line, so they don't have necessarily all the IT equipment, but they need to be very effective and efficient in their line of work, what they are doing. Another stats here, the 86% say frontline workers need better technology-enabled insights to be able to make good decisions in the moment. So it's really important to have real-time opportunities to make decisions there and then and act on those insights that you have. So the last one that I want to call out here, 72% say productivity has increased through empowering frontline workers. And that's really what this session today is about. We want to show you how we can help change your workforce to be empowered and to really get more insights and become more productive. There are three key areas here. What we see today, and as we work with lots of our clients, the first thing we notice is the frontline workers are disconnected. They are out in the field, out whatever they're doing in the health sector. They are out treating patients, but they are disconnected from literally the network, from the data, and from their source systems. So that makes the work very cumbersome, and that's the first barrier we need to overcome. And we've got this experience in Rizal, working through all the cloud technologies, but also on-premise connectivity issues that we have seen to be overcome. The second point really is most technologies that organizations use are outdated. Yes, everybody tries to use cloud technology, but to embrace it properly and to leverage all the capabilities that are out there, that's really a great opportunity here to move to modern capabilities and modern products. And the last thing, and for me, one of the key issues we need to address is frontline workers, as they're exposed to working out in the field, they are at risk. There's a security and privacy risks that we need to address here. And with that comes, they use mobile devices, they have devices on the go. How do we protect and secure them properly? How can we manage them as they are being out in the field? And that's another area we really need to address as we enable frontline workers.
I think I would just add to that as well. When we talk to businesses, especially when I talk to businesses at the moment, one of the biggest trends and biggest topics of focus is around digital skills and just a lack of mature workers. Almost inevitably, that's driving a bigger focus really on attracting, developing and retaining talent. Whilst lots of businesses went through a phase of outsourcing, there's been a lot of insourcing, and now it's almost coming back full circle. This lack of digital skills and lack of mature workers is an issue. I think frontline workers, there's a disproportionate amount of churn with frontline workers as well, which is another big area of risk and a big area of focus. And being able to attract talent is really important, but actually it's an employee market at the moment. It's not an employer market. So developing and retaining talent is becoming more of a priority. Therefore, providing frontline workers with the right tools and technology is essential to business success, such as mobile devices, just smartphones, tablets, those sorts of things can really provide frontline workers with access to information and communication tools on the go. There's collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams that can help frontline workers communicate and collaborate more effectively. But then digital workflows, introducing things like Power Automate can really automate some of those repetitive tasks and streamline workflows, which means the people that you're paying to do the job that you're paying them to do actually do that job and can actually be effective in doing that job. Just by providing frontline workers with those sorts of tools, we can really help them be more productive, help them communicate better, and really help them access the information they need to do their jobs effectively.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think you're hitting on a few key points here. And if I take you through the next slide that we've got here, so modernizing the frontline environment is really important, and in doing so, it gives you a competitive advantage because your competitors probably haven't done that exercise yet. But what do we mean in modernizing the environment? So first of all, we need to make sure that the front-end workers are connected and also engaged. So it's twofold. It's a technology aspect of giving the right connectivity for your devices to your IT infrastructure and the systems the people are using, but also engaging them. So creating a program of adoption and change management, bringing them back into the core workforce. Things like Viva Engage, what you probably remember as Yammer, is very important, and we have a separate podcast on that. But really engaging the workforce so they feel they're being heard, they can communicate and exchange information with the rest of the workforce of your organization.
Just before you move on,
yeah,
I always like to keep you on your toes, as you know. And you've mentioned a few tools and technologies there that businesses can implement. Just if I think about mobile orientated or mobile only workforce, mobile only frontline workers, what sort of devices, what sort of applications do you think we could introduce to help them be more productive and efficient?
So there's a wide range, but to really start giving end users Microsoft Teams, because it's the single pane of glass and the main communication tool used, and is so versatile with all the different apps you can have within Microsoft Teams. You can even develop your very own apps in Microsoft Teams. There's a Microsoft Teams SDK, so the very own development platform there. Microsoft Power Platform, very important. The Power Apps that can be made available to end users on the devices. There are quite a few success stories out there. I think Carglass, Heathrow Airport, lots of organizations have really embraced the Power Platform and enabled end users and, of course, frontline workers to leverage the products. And if a product isn't available on a mobile device, it's not there at all. And you really see this. So many applications are now mobile first, and that's for you the key driver to understand, yes, it's all targeted at the frontline workers and the workforce there.
Nice one. Good answer. I think it's what I find really interesting about frontline workers is just the sort of challenges they face are quite unique. It does make these unique challenges do make it difficult for them to do their jobs effectively. If I think about geographically dispersed workforces, for example, it makes it challenging to communicate and collaborate effectively. Just generally, a disconnected approach to communication can result in information silos, duplication of data, and those sorts of things. And it makes it difficult for people to access the information they need to do their job, even accessing the right solutions to book holidays and all those sorts of things. I often, when consulting with clients, find that their processes are just outdated. They haven't kept pace with technology in terms of just the process around the technology they use to do those jobs. So that makes it inefficient, it slows down operations, and I think it's really important to address those challenges. I'm going to throw you another question.
Okay.
So based on what I've just said, and I've addressed some of those challenges, where do you see automation streamlining processes, and how do you see automation being used to reduce manual tasks for frontline workers?
Yeah, automation is important to really help shorten the elapsed time of an end-to-end process, which might be broken down in individual sub-steps or sub-processes, but to overcome those so that there isn't lag and idle time between those individual sub-processes. Microsoft obviously have, with the Power Platform, Power Automate, which is one of those key capabilities to string those sub-processes together, to initiate and to trigger some actions automatically by understanding certain events. There's a large element of AI that you can weave into this. But with all of this technology that we have available, we shouldn't forget that actually there's a great opportunity here to rethink and maybe redesign the business process that you have, because with new technology come new capabilities, and therefore there's this opportunity to rethink, can I do this business process in a different way by embracing and leveraging the technology. If I give you the example, your mobile device can be a QR code reader or a barcode reader. So you don't need to take the old-fashioned approach and have a separate barcode scanner or something else. You can just really create your own QR codes and do lots of interaction available to the frontline worker leveraging this technology.
Excellent. Okay. One more, because this one I know is very much in your wheelhouse. What role does data analytics and reporting play in improving operational efficiency and decision making, specifically for frontline workers?
Yeah, very much so. Every organization is a data-led organization. If you are a CIO or CEO, if that doesn't resonate with you, I think we have an opportunity to work with you and do a proper business value assessment. But coming back to your question, Andrew, a frontline worker has so many touch points as part of the process they work through and the interactions they have and whatever is part of their day job. We can leverage all of these interactions to understand, okay, is that an efficient process, or is there an opportunity to capture additional data points as part of their work activity, and bring all of this together to drive insights from what the frontline worker does. And because your frontline workforce is probably the largest portion of your workforce all up, there's so much data you can gain and leverage to really drive insights to improve how you operate. And back to the point earlier, this makes you become more competitive compared to the other organizations that are out there in your work field.
Excellent. I think I was going to ask you another question about some of the emerging technologies. I'm keen to understand where some of the new technologies, some of the new AI that's coming out and that's being built into Microsoft at the moment potentially play a part. I've seen quite a lot of interesting use cases around augmented reality and virtual reality. I think augmented reality specifically around training experiences, the kind of immersive training for frontline workers. I actually remember one of my first ever projects at Rizal was to work on an app that a business was using to be able to bring apprentices out into the field, send them on their own jobs, but give them the ability to look and work through almost a guided demonstration of how they do a certain job while out in the field. Yeah. I've not seen much of that take off, but just I guess my question is, where do you see things like AI and IoT playing a part?
So augmented reality is obviously the capability of having a computer vision to interact with your real vision that's of the scenario that's around you. So Microsoft have HoloLens as a product that allows you to do this kind of augmented reality experience. We recently worked with one of our prospective clients in the logistics company, and they wanted to understand how can we use AI and augmented reality to improve our day-to-day work. The one example we curated and crafted was loading the back of a lorry in a more effective way. Think about 3D Tetris. How can you load your different boxes and cargo items into the back of a lorry in a more effective way to, obviously gain more capacity and more volume out of one truckload.
I mean, that's a good example of having a really good impact on business, but actually from a frontline worker perspective, by giving them that clear direction, that helps them speed up time, means they're delivering more value to the business, potentially means that they're spending less time putting things on, taking them off, putting them back on again. So there are some good use cases there that affect not just the business, but actually the end user as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
One of the things I did want to quickly cover before we move on was generally collaboration between business IT and end users. So personally, I think it's critical in developing and implementing solutions for frontline workers that we consider the collaboration that's required between business IT and end users. Therefore, a user-centric approach needs to be considered, and that needs to be needs to consider the needs and the preferences of frontline workers. So when we develop these solutions, we need to take a more holistic end-to-end approach. Back to what you were referencing around business process. Actually, there's very few business processes now that don't touch multiple, if not all, parts of a business, and frontline workers are part of that. So by taking that end-to-end approach, looking end-to-end and taking a holistic approach, and including things like collaboration and how those individual actors and how they align themselves to IT and the business and business goals and all those sorts of things interact, I think is really, really important. I think it's also important to involve frontline workers in the actual development process, actually seek their feedback. So when you reference Power Platform, for example, if you're building out apps for frontline workers that help them, even, for example, let's say you've got a frontline worker, they don't have a company laptop, or they don't have readily available access to a laptop, but they do have a tablet or a phone. Well, actually, some of the apps and products that you potentially would natively give to the rest of the business don't work very well on those tools. So you potentially want to create apps for them. We've seen an example recently where something as simple as booking a holiday, we've taken from what could be an hour down to seconds. And it's those small, whilst they might feel like small wins, they accumulate over time. We worked with one of our key accounts on helping their bid management team actually to improve and refine their process around bid management. We actually saved them 52 weeks per person in that team. So whilst there's a cost implication to that, what that actually has enabled them to do is to spend more time doing the things that they're paid to do, which then increases their chance of winning, which increases the chance of them generating more revenue, for example. There's lots of examples like that, and whilst that might not be a great frontline example, it is a good example of how the tools can be used and how improving process and providing the right tools to enable collaboration can really, really have an impact.
Yeah, very much so. And great examples that you've given there. And there's obviously a flurry of capabilities out there. And the great thing with the Microsoft ecosystem is that all the different products and services work hand in hand together. So if we talk about things like an AI cognitive service called Forms Recognizer to extract data from a form, that can be embedded and built into Power Up, which is then made available to a frontline worker, scanning invoices or scanning dispatch notes or any other paper-based form that might be still relevant and necessary, but we immediately can extract the data and take that through the business process in a digital way. So we've got a couple of aspects here to really show how we improve the frontline worker experience. And the key thing is to understand, okay, what is important for me as a frontline worker. So I've got here a shift worker who gets alerted, oh, my shift starts in 5 minutes. And you see, we bring the information that's relevant to you right to your mobile device. So you have got everything at your fingertips. And for a different frontline worker, that could look completely different. But first of all, like we said, we need to make sure they are connected and engaged. So the engagement comes through a very effective UI that we can design for you, but the connectivity obviously is important back to your environment. We want to enhance the workforce management. As I mentioned earlier, workforces, the frontline workers are typically those which represent the largest portion of your workforce, and to get a very effective workforce management is very important, and we can talk about later how we address that. And with that comes, and Andrew, you touched on this already, the increase of operational efficiency. So whatever we do and change the business process or improve the business process is there with that in mind to increase the efficiency of the frontline workers overall for your organization. And the foundation for everything we do is, of course, to safeguard the business with the built-in security that the Microsoft ecosystem gives you. So how do we take that approach? If all of this sounds interesting to you, we have a number of opportunities here to work with you and take you through some immersive experiences. We have Microsoft available demos. They're called CDX, so customer-facing demos that showcase really the functionalities of key products and tool sets that Microsoft have that we can run you through. For some other scenarios, there are so-called click-through demos, which again we can show you and share you. But also simulations. It's not just good having a demo system. To have a real simulation to understand how data flows, how a business process flows, that's important, and only a simulation can really give you this real-time feel of an experience. There are lots of videos, of course, available, but ultimately we would like to give you that experience in a more demo-like scenario. With all of the demos comes the point of how much will that cost me as an organization and what's my return on investment. So there are lots of capabilities there. We have something called a value calculator. Microsoft has produced that, but we take that further to really take you through this process of understanding the different aspects of what drives cost, what are the cost factors, all the way through to implementing this, and this value calculator helps to understand that. It's underpinned by a number of case studies or total economic impact studies that Microsoft have issued and produced through Forrester, and they help you understand what that value calculator addresses and produces. All of this gives you then outcomes and considerations to understand and build the business case that's relevant for you. And again, we can work with you. Overall, as we workshop that together with you, I think you will find there are lots of opportunities to enable your frontline workers to really improve how they operate.
Excellent. I think there's some good considerations here as well on the slide. But if I wrap us up, I think in conclusion, especially from my perspective, frontline workers are clearly the backbone of your business. They play a critical role in delivering high quality service, and they've really got a significant impact on customer satisfaction and even revenue. I think it's really important that we provide them with the right tools and the right technology to improve their productivity, improve the way they communicate, but ultimately thinking about employee experience is to give them that job satisfaction and to make sure that in this current landscape where retention of staff is really, really difficult, the actual churn rate on staff at the moment is so high. Retaining good people is not impossible, but it takes a very well connected, a very well thought out approach to frontline workers, and generally a really good approach to hybrid workforce management as well. So I think it's important to address the challenges that are faced by frontline workers in light of that, and to provide them with the support that they need to be successful. I think we need to give them a voice, and we need to prioritise their needs so that we can ultimately achieve better business outcomes and create a much more engaged and connected workforce. So with that, thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Empowering the Hybrid Workforce podcast. We hope that you found today's discussion insightful and inspiring. I'd like to thank Bjorn again for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, and don't forget to share with your friends and colleagues. We'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback, so please connect with us on social to leave us a review. And again, all of these podcasts will be up on our socials. So until next time, keep embracing the hybrid work environment and discovering new ways to empower your workforce. I've been your host, Andrew Hutchinson, signing off.
Thank you.